I'm a writer, director. I wasn't originally scheduled for this, so it happened last minute. So we're just going to do a very unconventional style of discussion. It's going to be completely interactive, and we'll be taking questions as we go, and we're just going to freestyle. Um, this is Tunde. Tunde, please introduce yourself.
Hi everybody. We have a very large job, a lot of empty shares, but thank you so much for coming. My name is Babatunde Apalowo, the director of All the Colors of the World between Black and White. So, can you guys hear us very well?
You can hear us very well. I think Tunde's sound, can you please up the levels on his microphone?
I really
So the topic of discussion today is, what's it again? Mami water and all the colors between black. So Tunde's film and CJ Obasi, I don't know if you are aware of CJ Obasi. He's a writer, director, and a member of a collective that I belong to called the S16, Surreal 16 Collective. He made an amazing film that premiered at Sundance this year called Mami Water, black and white supernatural film. It picked up the World Cinematography Prize.
Yeah, Sundance.
Yes, and subsequently it has traveled the world. CJ has been globetrotting, picking up prizes, and it's really amazing because this is like one of the first indie films from Nigeria to not only premiere at the prestigious festival Sundance, but it also got theatrical release across Europe and North America, and also on the continent as well. And that's a big deal because even like the very commercial films coming out of NOLLYWOOD, I don't think they've been able to achieve that. Tunde as well also had his film premiere at one of the big threes, Berlinale, this year, under the Panorama section, right?
Session, yes.
Yes, and it also picked up a prize. So it's really an amazing, and you just picked up a prize at Sundance as well.
Raindance.
Raindance.
Yeah.
Raindance in London. What prize was that again?
Best cinematography for David White.
Excellent. And so it's really an amazing time in our industry that you have indie films. I really don't like the term, not that I don't like it, but the term art house is, the way it's used in Nigeria and the way it's used in the rest of the world is completely different. Whenever I hear a European or an American or Japanese or whatever art house film, I'm expecting something very left and experimental. Here, any film that is not considered Nollywood or doesn't have big stars is an art house film, as long as it's done by like an auteur with a unique voice. So I think the first question I'll ask you is, define art house for me.
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting question. Like you rightly said, I do agree with you. I think the word art house is kind of like misused in the Nigerian context, where films that are not exactly art house are regarded as art house. And I think art house is just a way of telling stories. It's how you choose to tell your story, the cinematic language that you employ to tell that story. And in a way, art house seems to be very specific, to some certain audience. Because these audience kind of like have, they're like cinematic trained. They understand cinema, they understand use of some certain elements in film, so they are able to like understand it, some specific film better, So I think that's simply just art house, trying to make like a film in a very singular voice, that's not exactly, I don't want to use the word commercial because I believe that all films are commercial. I don't think anybody makes a film and say, oh, I'm not going to exploit financially, But yeah, art house is just like how you tell that story at the same time you're trying to get your certain audience.
So for your film now, did you specifically set out to make an art house film? Or what was your plan when you were making this picture?
No, actually I didn't, But again, I felt like in that way I'm quite very biased, right? Because the kind of films that I love, that I love to see. Because you have to make the film that you want to see, right? Like you're your first audience, you know. And I think I made the film for myself, and the kind of film that I love to see, in a way, tends towards to be, you know, art house. And specifically, the kind of film that I made can only be made the way it was made. I don't think it could have made any other way, you know. So I never really intended to make it art house.
So for context, Tunde's film showed that Babatunde. Babatunde's film showed that Berlinale, and Berlinale is, we know the big three in Europe is Venice, Cannes, and Berlinale.
Yes.
And it's a huge achievement to get, they get thousands of submissions each year. Did you have a strategy as far as where this film was going to? Was Berlinale like your goal? So for instance, CJ, Sundance was like his end game. In fact, there was a time where a programmer from another like A-list festival reached out and said they wanted to program the film. And he said, I'll respectfully have to decline because this is my target. This is where I'm aiming to show the film. Was Berlinale your focus, or did you just roll the dice and say, Omo, whatever I get?
It happened. Well, to be honest, you could have gone either way, you know, but there's a sensibility that I have towards Berlinale, simply because one of my favorite films ever, Eyimofe, screened at Berlinale, and I think it's like like I said, one of the best films I've ever seen, you know, and it connected, you know, to me in a very specific way, in the way it tells the story, you know, and that kind of like got me introduced to Berlinale. So, but while making the film, to be honest, if the only festival it had gotten to, you know, was AFREF, I would have been very happy, you know, I would have been very, very, very happy. But then I realized that, okay, I want to premiere at certain festival, you know, it could be anything, you know, but again, after making the film, it just became very obvious that, you know, the film shares a lot of nuances with the kind of films that premiere, that shows at Berlinale. And I felt like Berlinale will give you the best avenue to really survive, to thrive, you know, and with the help of the producer, we went for it.
Excellent. So please feel free to chime in. Anybody has any questions as we're going, just you can raise your hand and we don't have to wait till the ending. Yes, go ahead.
Can we get him a mic, please?
Thank you. So Mauro, today, I actually saw your movie earlier this year at TIFF. So it seems like you premiered at a couple different festivals. What to you has been the biggest difference in the reception you've gotten at each one of these festivals? Like you said, if it only premiered at TIFF, you'd be happy with that. But what has been the reception at the different festivals, and has that kind of informed the way you might have, maybe looking back on it, might have actually gone about trying to like premiere it, or moving forward for your next film? Does that kind of like affect what it is that you want to do in terms of how you distribute it?
I'm so sorry, your mic was breaking.
So
I was not active. Did you say TIFF?
So the full title, all the colors in the world are between black and white?
Colors of the world
are between black and white.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was at TIFF this year.
No, it wasn't at TIFF.
It wasn't at TIFF.
Very interesting, because I saw it at TIFF Bell Life Box in, I think, was in May or June.
There was another Nigerian film by Ishaya Bako at TIFF. I can't remember what it's called again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a conversation about this after, because I'm actually very curious as to what happened there.
We premiered at Berlinale in February, you know, and we had like our Canadian premiere at a very small film festival in Canada.
Very interesting. Okay, we'll table this conversation for after the panel then, because I'm very curious.
Next film that you're seeing there, fingers crossed. It's a joke.
I'll talk to you after about it.
All right.
Thanks.
Any question? All right. I also want to talk about I think we're in a very interesting space right now in our film industry. Yesterday we had a panel with Kenneth Gang, Coyote, and myself, and I was looking at the stage and I realized we had like a array of almost every type of filmmaker that we have now in the industry, from Coyote, who does very highly successful blockbuster films. You have Kenneth Young, who started out doing like indie films, then he's now doing Netflix originals like Blood Sisters. And then you have myself, far left, doing similar things. We're going to International Film Festival and ending up at streaming services and whatnot. And it was kind of amazing because it's the industry that I always envision, and that has diversity that any young person can wake up and say, okay, this is the type of filmmaker I want to be. What's your take on the space we're in right now in the industry?
I mean, I think Nollywood has always been a sort of maverick, a sort of white card, especially in terms of the kind of films that I want to make and the structure of the industry itself, And like you said, it seems that there seems to be like a demand for certain films, for certain stories, and these stories require different medium to be told, right? But personally, I love watching movies, right? And having this kind of conversation whereby we have to like, segregate ourselves. I don't personally think it makes sense, because I think at the end of the day, what matters is we telling our authentic story, in a way that, of course, probably make us proud. For example, I can walk from seeing your film, right, and understand, the humor and the style of the film, and go straight to perhaps another film that will just make me laugh, But so far, the underlying theme is very authentic in terms of the storytelling. I think that's great. So to me, it's just all about the story, And I also believe that there will be always be different means and different medium of telling those stories.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about the business aspect of it now. So you've made the film. It's premiered at a prestigious festival. You're doing the festival run. You're traveling. How are you going to make your money back, considering you've made a very niche project?
Yeah, I mean, I believe every film has its own audience. It has always been like that. Personally, for all the colors, like you said, we're still focusing mainly on the festival run. But we've gotten a couple of theatrical deals in Europe.
Congrats.
Thank you. Not a lot of money though, but in France, in Denmark, and I think it's 2 other countries like that in Europe. So the plan is to continue to explore it in terms of festival, and then after I'll probably get it on a streaming deal. And I think the fact that we have so many streaming platforms in Nigeria right now has kind of like opened the door or opened the avenue for so many films to come in, and for, of course, people to get to, see a lot of them. So, yeah, the plan is eventually to get on a streamer deal.
Excellent. Any questions, anyone?
Guys, don't be shy. Come on.
Lady in the yellow.
Congratulations.
We're baking here, AC.
I want to ask, it's a follow-up on the question you just asked them. Would you say that we were both in Berlin together, actually? So we post-Berlin, because I'm also looking to put into the festival for this season. Now, would you say that the opportunities you have gotten was a direct effect of your prize in Berlin?
I would say yes, but again, I would also like to add a context to that, because just the fact that your film premieres at a big film festival is not enough. You have to still do the work, right? I mean, the L'Oreal kind of like give it a stamp of authority. It means that you don't need to speak too much English, right? Like, I premiered at this festival. It makes a lot of sense, And of course, it gets to open a lot of doors, But again, you still have to walk through that door. You still have to like make it work. You still have to like, reach out to people. You still have to like get people to see the film, and of course, be very financial savvy in how you handle like the deals and whatever will come out of it.
Sorry, can you specify the kind of work in terms of, how do you get to reach out to people, or people reach out to you? That kind of thing.
I think I can add a little bit on that. So let me give you an example. In 2016, my first feature-length film called Green, White, Green, and all the
I can't remember your
can't
own
even
film.
no, the subtitle and
All
all the
mosaic
colors in my Mosaic of Madness.
of Madness.
Yes,
Wow. Abba.
which has like a similar title to yours. It premiered at TIFF, and we were very intentional about going to a big festival and not getting lost in the festival, because you can get programmed in TIFF, Sundance, Cannes, and whatnot, but if you don't do marketing and PR, people won't. Some cinephiles will be like, oh, let me look at the program. This looks interesting. But you have to even make noise to get more people to come see the film, to also do some PR around it, you know. So what we did is we were very intentional by hiring a publicist. And even before we got to TIFF, we had interviews with the likes of Variety Magazine, Hollywood Reporter, and by the time we got to Toronto, we met with Vice, BBC Talking Movies, and that helped a lot. So even before our screening date, we were getting emails from other festivals, we were getting emails from sales agents, we were getting emails from distributors. So you have to make noise. And I think the panel before, somebody asked what's a good marketing budget, and they said 30% of the picture. Yeah, I mean that was a very direct answer and very standardized. But yeah, you do have to put aside some money. It doesn't matter whether you're making a blockbuster film or you're making an independent film. There has to be a marketing and PR strategy. And after you do that, you will definitely see the effect. I don't know if I answered your question.
So basically, you still have to put in the work.
Here. Somebody else?
There's somebody at the back there, green.
Do you want the microphone or do I just go?
I think since you have the microphone.
No, you have the mic. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. Thank you guys. Well done. My name is Presley, writer, director. I also host a radio show about film. My question is for you, Babatunde, but I'm springboarding off of what you just said, Abba, so it would be great if you can also comment on it. Now, Tunde, is it okay that I call you Tunde? So I know that you have done stuff. Babatunde, there we go. I know that you have done a bunch of things with Dami in the past, so it's not like, you know, you're not new on the scene with all the colors of the world, you know, but to a very large extent, being your first feature film, you know, it's sort of a huge deal. And then the direction you decide to go with this particular story is also a very, very bold step, story-wise. Now, my question is, you know, for someone that might be in the room that also wants to do something quite bold and then go the entire 9 yards, you know, again, springboarding off what you said about the other things that you have to think about beyond just putting the work out there. Now, it's one thing to make the decision to do the film. It's another thing to think about the things you have to do to push the film out there. Could you like walk us through all of that in like as quickly as you can when you decide I was going to do this thing anyway, and then how the journey has been ever since you put it out up until now?
Wow. I don't know how specific I can get, you know, but one thing I can say that, you know, speaking to the power of insight right now, there's a lot of things that I wish I knew that I know now. There's a lot of decisions that I will have taken, you know, if I knew all the information I have right now, you know. But again, you know, just starting out, it has to come from a story that you're passionate about, you know. It can't be something you want to make simply because you want to get to this particular level, you know. Because like I said earlier, it was never our intention to go to Berlinale. I mean, I didn't think it was possible, right? You know, but I focused on the story. I focused on making the film as best as I could, right? And then, of course, whatever follows, you know, happened. You know, so I think if you have that mentality that you want to get to this level, it starts from your story, you know, and that's all I can say. It's actually start from the story. It starts from how you approach the story. It starts from your own mentality about the story, and you also have to know exactly what you want to do with it. You know, we made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't know what I was doing. You know, because I wasn't very, very specific. I wasn't very intentional about some certain things. Like what Abba just said, you know, in terms of even when you've been selected, what do you do after that? You know, how do you approach the marketing? How do you approach the distribution? What are the distribution channels that are available to you? What are your options? You know, so a whole lot of this, information, I do have them right now, but I didn't have them before.
Next question. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tomi Singh, director from Burkina Faso. Babatunde, congratulations on your film and the success of your film. I have a question, obviously. The question is, when you decided to make this kind of film, knowing the kind of niche or the specific audience that the kind of this film might have, what steps did you take in terms of getting funding for the film, for instance? Because I realized that for CJ Obasi, I kind of followed his journey to making Mami Water. He went to labs. I met him at Waka Film Lab and all of that. He took some steps in order to get funding for Mami Water. But for you, what were the steps you took to get funding? And what film, Nigerian film, did you see that probably made the same steps that you thought, okay, maybe I can follow as a precedent? Exactly. What other films in Nigeria were like a precedent for you for making these steps? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I'm trying to get your attention. All right, you can sit down. All right. First of all, in terms of the funding, I think Abba can testify to it. You have to make a film at your level. I don't know if that makes any sense. In the sense that Colors wasn't the film I wanted to make as my first feature film. I wanted to make something else, something that I thought was much more representative of myself, you know. But again, it was so big, and I couldn't get anybody to finance it. But then I had to make Color because it felt like something I could make with my friends, which is exactly what I did. Everybody that worked on the project is my friend. I mean, if they weren't my friend, then they're my friend now, you know. So, and that's how I approached it. It's a very simple story, a very simple movie, and I had to take a lot of decisions that in a way contributed to the artistic integrity. Like, for example, we shot the film on stick. We never moved the camera because, I mean, apart from the fact that I work for the story, you know, it's also like a sort of, you know, from financial point of view, the budget couldn't afford us to, like, you know, move the camera in a way that I felt like if I want to move it, it will require much money. You know, and I also think it's also very, very important that there are some certain things that you have you put in place. Your film has to look professional, right? You can't want to move the camera and it's shaking. That already takes a lot from it. So those are like the little things that we decided before we go on set. We are not going to have a single out of focus, right? It's not going to happen. So how do you navigate all these problems, all these little things? So you put all those things into consideration while you're making a film. And that's why I said earlier that you have to make a film at your level, you know. I mean, and then you have to like keep building up on it, you know. And like you also mentioned about CJ has been on this thing for quite some time. I think this is his third feature film.
Yes.
So you can imagine that he has built up his reputation. It's probably a whole lot easier for him to raise funds than any of us here, based on his acumen, and that's why it works. So the kind of film he will make is probably going to be different from the kind of film a young filmmaker. I mean, a new filmmaker will make. Does that make any sense? So those are the things you have to put at the back of your mind when you're making the film. You know, and that's why I said earlier that it can't think so much ahead. You focus on where you are and you build from it, step by step, in terms of everything, in terms of the story, in terms of raising the money. I forgot your second question. I'm sorry.
He said, are there any other Nigerian films that you saw that kind of like inspired you to go on this path?
Oh yes, yes. And I think the only film, not probably the only film, like the biggest influence that I have is For Maria, shot by Dami, simply because of his approach. Because again, I was quite very privy to a lot of the in-house things, a lot of the things that happened. I mean, I edited the film. I knew how Dami shot it. You know, I knew what he had to do. I knew his process. You know, how he raised his funds. You know, how he got the film made. So that the film really, really, really inspired me. Because as a matter of fact, even while I was trying to make the other project, Dami kept telling me, make the film you can make. You know, but I was so much focused on that other film for like 7 years that I wasn't making anything until I listened to his advice and actually made colors.
Excellent. Yes.
Thank you. I realized I didn't introduce myself earlier. My name is Adetobi Aladikamor. I generally work in film production. I'm based out of Toronto. I had a quick chat with Gail, and we figured out where the confusion was. You premiered it Inside Out in Toronto. So back to my original question was, what has been the reception at each different festival that you premiered at, and how would that inform where you decide your next film will premiere? Has the reception been different, and has that kind of made you seem like, oh, maybe it might have been better to start out at this particular festival? I know you really wanted to do Berlin, but was there anything that you kind of saw that made you go, huh, maybe for my next project, this is where I actually want to start?
Wow. Two questions. The very first, the reception has been quite interesting and quite different as well. You know, because I believe the film is an authentic Nigerian story, right? That has a lot of Nigerian nuances, you know. And depending on the part of the world that the film is screened, it kind of like affects how people react to it. For example, Berlin was amazing, right? Because they have like a sensibility for Europeans, for films generally, you know, and ARTHOUSE films, you know, and of course how a film is being told. So the reception in Berlin was amazing in the sense that the entire hall was filled up and nobody stood up, nobody walked out, you know. But then you have like American audience that are quite very, very specific in their need, you know, and even the Q&A was quite very different. The kind of questions that they ask, you know, is quite very, very different, you know. But of all these screenings, the one that I'm actually particularly, you know, interested in is Afro.
Yes, that was going to be my next question. Considering the subject matter, you know, it's a bit controversial in this space, in the context of Nigeria. What's your anticipation?
I mean, I've stood in one of the biggest auditorium in the world to present the film. I wasn't very nervous, as I am about Thursday, you know, because again, it's a whole lot easier to screen the film internationally and speak plenty English, right? But there are some nuances, there are some things they will not understand, they will not get. But you cannot lie to Nigerians, right? Because it's their story. They know if you say, oh, Nepal, there's always electricity, they will call you out your line, you know. And about the subject matter, I mean, what I can say is the fact that I think all stories deserve their chance to be told, right? You know, and I think why people call it like a queer film, I like to think of it as a love story, as a tragic love story, you know. And I'm a straight person that made a queer film, right? You know, and one of the things I had to ask myself is, you know, why am I qualified to make this film? You know, why am I the person that needs to tell the story? You know, but then I realized that I am not trying to like make an advocacy film. I'm trying to make a love film, right? You know, and I've been in the situation of the three main characters, right? I've loved somebody that didn't love me back, you know, and at the same time, I'm sure somebody has loved me that I couldn't reciprocate their love, you know. So, and that was the point, that's the pivotal angle that I based the film on. And I think it's quite relatable. Doesn't matter your sexual orientation, you're going to find yourself in the film.
Yeah, I don't want to ponder too much on the queer aspect of the film, but how does it feel knowing a film like this, based off the subject matter, will probably never see distribution in the theaters in Nigeria? How does that make you feel?
It's quite very unfortunate and it's quite very sad. But again, it's also understandable because it's not just the subject matter that made the film a little bit ineligible for theatrical distribution in Nigeria. It's also the fact that the film is a bit ARTHOUSE and the way it was shot, you know. And I find it quite very sad, you know, that a lot of the films that I love, I never get to see them in cinema. You know, I never get to see The Lost Occlusion in cinema. I never get to see Green White Green in cinema. You know, and and I think that that is like a very, very big problem that I honestly do not have the answer to. But again, I think I will ask you this question because you've been there, right? You've done it. So how is the experience for you?
I mean, it is what it is. It's a function of the reality that where, first of all, cinema is a fairly new art form in Nigeria, and two, cinema is considered more so entertainment here rather than seen as an art form. Therefore, if it's entertainment, the money aspect will always come first. But the third thing is, I like the fact that we're in a time right now that we have a very diverse audience. If you come to like our festival, the S16 festival, which our motto is cinema as an art form, it's primarily Gen Z audience, or what they call the Altair audience. And these kids, they are extremely open-minded and they want to see something completely fresh. And who knows, maybe in the next 5 years or so, we might have an independent art house theater that distributes these type of films that won't ever see the light of day in the major cinemas, and they'll get the love and the attention they deserve. It doesn't have to, that's the thing, it doesn't have to be multiple, just have a few cinema halls that programs these films, and that's the plan.
If I might also ask, I mean, Green White Grey was when? 2015?
2016.
2016. From that period of time till now, in your opinion, what do you think has changed in the art house space in Nigeria?
I mean, a lot has changed. People like yourself, Dami, the Asiri brothers, Chuko, they did the Imofe, showed at Berlinale, and ended up in Criterion Collection, which is like the holy grail if you want your film to be in the pantheon
To
of...
be remembered forever.
Exactly. And there's just so much more. There are a lot of... So right now, as we speak, the two other members of our collective, Mike and CJ Obasi, they're at Switzerland. They've gone for Winterthur, which is like one of the biggest short film festivals in Europe. And they were asked to come and curate a Nigerian section for short films. And again, it's this young Gen Z audience that are making like cool, weird stuff. The fact that there's even a section now for Nigeria, it's just amazing that the future is bright, and nobody should feel deterred that they're feeling alienated or feel different. You always find your community,
I agree. Thanks for that.
Any questions?
Hi, over here. So I just would mention that I actually saw Mami Water at Ebony Life Cinemas. So while it may not be widely distributed, I saw it there and I really enjoyed it. So thank you. My question, I have two questions. For one, a film as creative as that, how do you come together with a team who buy into your vision? If you could speak a bit about the process, how that worked out for you, that would be great. And then my second question is, for an aspiring producer who doesn't have a background in the creative space, what advice would you give?
Sorry, what was the first question?
It was about coming together for a vision that's very specifically creative.
Yeah. And what was the question? Sorry.
I wanted to hear about...
sorry.
She was very...
No problem. I wanted to hear about, like, the process of picking a team who buy into your vision. Yeah.
It's very straightforward. You see somebody that you mess with, you just go and say, how far? What's up? Let's form Voltron. In 2014, I saw Mike Omonua's short film, Sonije, on YouTube, and immediately I was like, this guy is the best. I'm like the biggest Mike Omonua fan, like I feel amongst all of us, he's the best. So I DM'd him immediately and I was like, I'm a fan. And same thing with CJ. CJ had just dropped Ojuju, and it won, I think, Best Nigerian Film at Afrif. And 2014. So we just immediately became friends, and one day we decided to meet in Ikeja for drinks, and we were like, let's form a collective. It was that easy, and it was in 2016. I just got into TIFF. There was this high, we're excited, things are happening, and we're like, okay, let's start this collective. What are we going to call it? And we thought of the term surrealism, kind of encapsulated everything we were doing, and it just felt like a nice umbrella term that means we can dream and do whatever we want. And it was 2016, so we just formed the S16 collective. We did a short film called Visions together, anthology film. It premiered at AFIF in 2017, and we had a similar panel like this about ARTHOUSE film. And we screened the film, and there was complete silence in the hall, like nobody. Yeah. And Newton Adwak was the one who moderated it, and it was like, finally, he feels he's been doing what we were doing way back in the 90s. It's good to see a generation. So you find your community if you're looking for it. You find your people. And
are you guys accepting new members? I'm asking for a friend.
Yes, there's an initiation process. But no, absolutely. So here's the thing about S16 now. It's beyond just the three of us. We started the festival in 2021. We went to Locarno to show Juju Stories. Our producer is right there, Francis Nebo. We all were in Locarno. We just got a high off the screening. We won the Critics Prize. Is it Critics Prize? Yes. The Bucalino Duro. Right. Yeah. We won that prize, and we were in Paris, and all of us were like, what are we going to do next? And we were like, let's start a festival. And we did. Yes, we did. We didn't care whether it was going to be 50 people in a room in just a screen. With just a screen. We were like, let's just start it. Our friends will come. And we got this uncompleted building in Lagos Island, the old printing press, got a screen, blacked it out, and we premiered, because we formed this network, it's easy for us to look for international films from other African filmmakers. So Abu from Sudan had just done You Will Die at 20, and we reached out to him, and that became our closing film. And we programmed 10 short films, and we did a special presentation of Juju Stories. And we were expecting like 50 people, and it ended up, we had like 200 people come to the festival. And ever since then, keeps growing and growing. The next year, the Dutch embassy came on board as a partner. And this year, the third edition, we also have the French embassy. Shout out to the French embassy coming on board. It's at Alliance Française. I'm sorry I'm pitching our festival. But yeah, it's just that evolution of finding our community. And we just keep growing and growing. Yeah?
I think I have just something.
Sorry, the second question was? Advice for
aspiring
producers. Okay, so that's a very specific question, because a producer is a business person. Your job is to get the film made for your director. You're going to have to deal with it's the trenches. You're going to have to deal with a lot of egos. Your directors, ego, actors. You're the one speaking to everybody, and you're not even going to get as much praise. When everybody is celebrating, you're going to be the behind the scenes type of person. So just be ready to wear that armor, but if you're passionate about it, it is a lot of fun, helping people. A producer is really a helper. He's that person that if the director can't get what he wants, you're supposed to. It's also creative. You need to be on your feet to think of creative ways to get him what he wants. So just courage, go into it. Speak to other producers here. See Francis, my producer, see him. Talk to him. There are some big dogs in here. Just find them out and just keep talking. Yeah.
I wanted to add something to what you said about the very first question, because I personally believe it's quite very important about finding your tribe. So using myself and Dami as an example, uh, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, right? Because we started making short films together. You know, I think I wrote more than he directed it and I edited it. So we started forming like a sort of, we realized we shared the same sensibilities about cinema, about how we love to tell story and how it is quite very different. And we're also very specific about where we know we're going to go, right? So we knew at some point it's going to happen, right? We're going to go to Berlinale. We're going to go to the biggest film festival in the world. We knew it. But then we also knew that we didn't have what it takes at that time. Then we started building it up slowly, you know, from short films to feature film. And of course, the next one that is going to come out is probably going to be better than everything we've ever done. So it's just about finding your tribe and building up together, as opposed to like thinking you're going to meet somebody that's already established and then pitch your story. And I mean, that might happen, right? But it can also happen when you build together with your friends.
Also, look for projects and directors you are passionate about, that you love. If you love it, you go to the end of the earth to make that film, you know. If it's something you're just doing it, honestly, it will be a nightmare. Find something that you actually love. Yeah. All right, we're going to wrap up.
Yeah,
we have one more question and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. Good. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so I saw Juju Stories last year in February. I won a ticket and I was writing exams, but I went to watch it, and the theater was empty. I was the only one there, and it was pretty fun, like being the only person that saw it. But you know, it was kind of like, where's everybody else? You know, why am I the only one watching this? And Juju Stories changed my life. And I came to S16 in December, and that was the first film festival I ever went to, and it felt very intimate to me. And yeah, as I've been writing for like 3 years now, and every time like someone reads my stories, they think like, okay, because I write surrealism, that is kind of like I'm trying to appeal to a Western audience, or like the alternative scene or something. When like it's like, okay, people can't say a surrealist is surrealism isn't like a Nigerian art or something. Like Nigerians dream too. Like we can't say because we focus on dream logic that we're trying to appeal to a Western audience or something. I know that that's something you had to face with the Lost Okoroshi and Juju Stories, trying to, because it's not like it defies narrative form and structure. And so like I'm just trying to say like what's your take on the Nigerian like audience as a whole saying like, oh, these stories are not innately ours because of how they defy narrative structure, like, and then also in the progression of say art house cinema or experimental cinema, like, so this Juju Stories is extremely accessible because I showed it to my mom and she loved it and she was familiar with all the tropes that were that were addressed in the film. And so what's going to happen when like we progress from Lost Okoroshi and Juju Stories and Mami Water to even more experimental stuff, like, okay, what's going to happen when someone says they want to make something like Stalker or The Holy Mountain, or even worse, Inland Empire? Like, how do you feel like that's going to come to play in the grand scale of Nigerian cinema?
Guys, a cinephile, yeah. Yeah, so I think the thing is, it's not about the stories, because the stories are quintessentially Nigerian. Mami Wata, everybody knows that. Juju Stories, we've all heard the you pick up money, you turn into yam. I think the issue has always been the way it's told, and the way it's told is very foreign to Nigeria in terms of just the style or the approach. You watch something like Mike Omonua's film, which has almost this very transcendental approach. Even your film as well, it's very muted. You know, people don't speak until they really have to. You know, and if you're someone who's used to watching a film that people are constantly talking, you know, our films are very melodramatic in that sense, especially the slapstick comedies. When you watch a film like yours or Mike's film, there's this restlessness. I remember when Mike showed the man who cuts tattoos at Afrif, there were a few walkouts, like people were very, they got impatient. So it's, again, you have to feed them small, just, it's small doses. We'll get there, more and more people are beginning to see the range and the diversity in the types of films that are made. And even if they don't like it, that's also a good reaction. At least they felt something, So don't ever be deterred or be afraid to make the films you want to make. There's always going to be an audience there for you. It's just a matter of time. Like, nobody should... there was, when we were making films, they used to call us festival filmmakers, and it was kind of backhanded comment, But now even the biggest filmmakers want to go to Cannes, and they want to go to Berlinale, and they want, yeah. So it's only a matter of time. I'm 100% certain about it.
All right. So I want to ask one question. What's your creative process?
Last question. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. What's your creative process working with actors? Being that a lot of these art house films are longer shots. Like, you have longer shots. So what's like your creative process in telling them what to do and how to get that instead of saying cut.
I think I'll let Tunde answer that question. Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it always depends on the story, it depends on the script. For instance, Lost Okuroshi, we had a locked script, but I'm someone who likes to improvise. And if I'm going to do improvisation, there are specific actors that I know can deliver. So I'm not just casting you because you look a certain type of way or because you have 100,000, a million Instagram followers. It is always in service to the project. So it will depend. I might have a script that each dialogue is so very important that I won't improvise and everything has to be exactly as it is. You need to just find people who are very disciplined, I've heard stories about Nollywood actors not rehearsing, and no, it's not just Nollywood actors. Everywhere around the world, there are Hollywood actors who come on set and they have to, because they've gotten to such a big level in their career, they feel like, oh, I'm just doing you a favor. They will have to be feeding them the lines while they're shooting, Find people who respect your project, who are going to go through the entire process of table reads and multiple rehearsals, and if you have enough budget, do your blocking and everything before you shoot. Especially, people need to understand that in Nigeria, filming everywhere in the world is extremely difficult. In Nigeria, it is times 10 because something will always go wrong. It's absolute. So therefore, you have to do as much as possible in pre-production. If you have a small DSLR camera or whatever, try and stage and block all your scenes, rehearse as much as possible. So when you go into filming, you just knock it out. Boom, boom, boom. That's what Roger Corman used to do. And I think even the Sundance Lab, that's what they do. They prepare you for shooting your film by getting actors, and you rehearse and block everything just in an empty space. So the day you guys go on location now is just boom, boom, boom. It becomes very surgical and technical.
Just to add to what Abba said, I also think it depends on the director and the actor, because I personally believe that the relationship between an actor and a director is quite very sacrosanct. It's quite very specific and it's quite very unique. So speaking from my own point of view, I approach it in a very conversational manner, right? You can't give the same direction to two different actors. So you have to approach each actor differently for who they are. For example, why we're trying to make colors, because we had a sort of rehearsal, sort of reading, and a lot of things changed from there. What I felt like I wanted change off just from observing the actors, just from seeing, how they're reacting to the material. Because again, even the material itself can change, right? No matter how specific or how intentional you want to be. So it's always about the specific director and the specific actor.
All right, we'll wrap up the session now. Thank you so much. Tunde's film is showing on Thursday. What time?
About 8 p.m.
8 p.m. I'll be moderating the Q&A session. So please come and be shocked. Come and watch amazing cinema. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you to our panelists. So we're going to have a 1 hour break now, and our next session on representation starts at 2 p.m. Thank you so much.
So please, if you want to do lunch or you want to network with people, this is the time.